Hey, what's up, YouTube? So I was in America recently and I was visiting with my nephew and we were playing some chess and he showed me this app he plays on called AI Factory Chess, and he asked me to see if I could beat it on the highest setting, which is 12, and I couldn't do it. I messed up. So I'm like, obviously as a chess player I have competitive instincts. So I'm like, oh, I got to beat this app so I could show Jonah. So I beat it at level 10, and then at the airport I tried it at a level 11, and, well, you can see a spoiler if you look at the left side of the screen, but let's go over the games. So this is at level 11, which the app claims is about 1980 strength. So let's see how I fare. So we got e6, this is called the French defense. d4, I got the center pawns, got the bishops ready to come out. d5 challenges my center pawn. A lot of different variations I could take. I could defend. I could push. So I decided to defend, the classical variation. He applies more pressure. I pin the knight. So he cannot no longer take twice here because the queen is pinned to the knight. He breaks the pin, push, attack the knight. The knight comes back. Queen takes, bishop takes, bishop, queen takes. This has all been played before, as you can see here. These are all the games played on by elite chess players. So we still are in over 60,000 games played in this line. F4 is the main move. Just adding extra defense to this pawn, anticipating black playing c5 to try to undermine the pawn chain. A6 is another normal move. So far the computer is playing all book moves. Knight f3. And then this move, let's see, actually it's the second most common move, but as you can see, only 600 people have played it versus 30,000 playing c5. But this is the first time I'd ever seen it. So I thought for a while, and I thought, yeah, let's just continue with the normal plan. So I played bishop d3, getting ready to castle. Now c5. I took it because, yeah, say if I do something like this, that would be a bad blunder. So bad, it's not even in the database, no one has played it before, but I would lose the bishop here. And I could castle. That's been played also. But then, yeah, castling is probably fine. But I feel like taking makes more sense because it makes the queen move again, which has already moved once. Or the knight could come back, and then the knight could recapture the pawn. But queen takes was played. Now I can no longer castle because the queen's controlling the castling and ending castling square. So I play a3 with the idea to play b4, although not right away because then the knight would hang. He throws in a check. So now, as you can see, we're outside the database. This has never been played before in history, at least not on elite chess. So the most common move is bring my queen here, which makes some sense. But I thought a3 was okay. He checks me. Now this move I don't think was very good because you can see I have a lot more development than him. I block with the knight. Blocking with the knight's necessary because if I block with the queen, he can take this pawn, which this is still probably pretty good for white. But I blocked with the knight instead. He castled, and I played queen d2. So he can either back off or he can trade queens. He backs off. Now I play b4. There's no knight to attack anymore, and even if there was, the queen would defend. So he goes back to c7. So as you can see, white's doing better here. And the reason is white has 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces developed, and black only has 2. Also, if you compare the light squared bishops, mine is aiming right at his king side, and his is blocked by a pawn here, so it can't really go anywhere. It'd be a long journey for this bishop to get anywhere. He'd have to play. Let me get rid of some of these arrows. So yeah, the bishop would have to play from here, to here, and then to here, then move this pawn. Or I could play to here just to trade off with my bishop. But that's a whole lot of work just for a trade. And in the meantime, yeah, I could bring my knight in. I could castle, bring my rook up. Well, let's see what happened in the game. So, last move was here. I castle now finally, now that I'm able to castle. Because his queen, and the nice thing about b4 is his queen can no longer come back in any circumstance to give me a check. So that's nice. He plays bishop d7, finally getting his bishop out. But also, yeah, this knight is kind of offsides, this knight is kind of offsides, and you'll see how it goes in the game. So now I bring my knight towards the center. This is a dual-purpose move. It's trying to control squares over here. Maybe push this pawn at some point, maybe. Although not right now because this one hangs. And also, it clears the way for the queen to come out. Maybe come get an attack on black's king. So let's see how it goes. So he brings his knight out. So he's got all his pieces developed now, all his minor pieces. Oops. And his rooks are connected. When the rooks are in contact with each other, it's called connected rooks, which can be useful because if the rooks are opposed, if one rook takes the other, then they can recapture. But you can see his pieces are kind of all clustered on the queen side, and mine are centralized and ready to hop into attack on the king side. So I move my queen over to f2. At this point, I'll turn the engine on just for fun. I'm curious. I would say the engine will give me like plus 1.5, plus 2. Let's see. Oh, no. Actually, it's not that big of an advantage. So what for those not familiar, what I'm saying is plus 1, plus 2. The computer gives advantages based on a pawn. So if you're plus 1, the computer thinks, even in an equal material position, it thinks you're basically have a 1 pawn advantage. So I only have about half a pawn advantage here. So black trades, but I'm going to turn this off. It's a little distracting. I could turn it on at various points. I think this game's pretty easy to explain even without the engine. So he trades knights. I take back with my knight. And again, the nice thing is that he can't really get his queen on this diagonal to have a look at my king. So he brings his knight in here. So now he can threaten to at least trade queens. The nice thing, this could be very vulnerable if he had a dark squared bishop, but he only has a light squared bishop. Whenever you have your queen and king, hang on a second, so many arrows. Yeah, whenever you have your king and queen lined up like this, you always have to be careful of a bishop pinning your queen to the king, but that's not going to be a problem here. So now I decide to go in for the kill, or at least start. So I bring my queen up, he pushes the h-pawn. I bring my rook up, you can kind of see where this is going. He hops his knight in to attack my rook, but it's not forking anything, no big deal, I just slide over. Now here I'm curious, yeah, now here you can see the advantage is starting to go up. Although still black can defend himself. But queen b6 is not helping his situation. Yeah, you see all of a sudden the eval goes up to plus 4. So, yeah, his only chance was to protect the king. And, yeah, already I can start thinking about sacrifices. I'm just curious how the computer is going to defend with best play here. Yeah, queen d8 makes more sense here. When someone's attacking with their queen, it's a good idea to try to make them trade. Like if I were to trade here, I suspect it'll be about equal. Yeah, now all of a sudden black is totally fine. So in this type of situation, you almost never want to trade queens. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get back to the game. So queen b6 was misguided. Okay, he has a one move threat. He's threatening to take my knight, but that's easily parried. Now maybe I can't say the computer's idea, the computer's thought, because it's just an engine programmed to play at a certain level, but in this situation, maybe a human would think, okay, I'll bring my rook over to here, undermine this pawn, and then take the knight. But the problem is that's too slow because black is under threat here. So okay, so I defends the knight, obviously. I don't want to lose my knight for free. And he does move his king at this point, but it's a little bit late now. So now, again, I'm curious what the engine says about how I play my attack. Oh, actually, the engine says I need to strike now. I thought about this move, but I just couldn't see the follow-up. So the computer, when I say the computer, not the computer I was playing, the Stockfish engine, which is stronger than any human in the world, recommends this move. Pretty much has to take. If he doesn't take, he's just going to get mated here. So he takes. And now, wow, there's so many different ways to win. But let's go with the most natural one here. Here. And I saw all this, but then I saw this move, and I thought, okay, I don't think I'm winning here. I saw this far, and then I got to here, and I thought, yeah, the king's getting away. Oh, okay, the king's not getting away. Wow. So the computer, the Stockfish just says play here. And I guess my position is so good that I can just get away with bringing up and over. Is that really true, though? It's crazy that the computer thinks the position is that good. So let's follow the engine's best lines. Yeah, I guess there is really no way to stop my rook from getting here, is there? I don't see why we would check again here. Yeah. It's just saying go back. Take here. Let's say he takes back. Okay, and now he's getting mated. So that was a crazy long line you had to see to sack the rook. Now, it's not that complicated. The main thing you have to see is that even though you can't really make any progress with these two pieces, the position is so good that you can bring the rook up, over, and around, and black just loses. But I didn't see that. I played queen g4. And now black is fine again. He played rook g8, which I expected. Now I brought my rook over. And yeah, all of a sudden black is fine. After this. Why is he fine after this? If I take here and play as in the game, he can just defend, and I really don't have anything. But instead, black is still thinking about his own attacks. I say thinking in quotes. Threatening to take this pawn and then take this knight. But he's too slow. I played queen to g5, and I'm threatening to take twice on g6. The queen can't be taken because it's pinned by the rook. And yeah, there's really nothing to do here. Yeah, white throws in a check, perhaps hoping, again, hoping it's a computer. It's not hoping, but if I take with the rook, then all of a sudden I lose my queen. I can't take with the knight because it's pinned, but I can just nicely take with the f-pawn. And yeah, this is just forced mate. And queen takes f7. I went through that kind of quickly, but this is a very common mating pattern when you have the queen and bishop like this. The queen controls this square. So you don't want to check with the queen here because then the king can run away. But if you check with the bishop, the king can't run away. He has to go back into the line of fire. Now you come to the G file, which conveniently puts pressure on here. The queen has to go there, and then you mate on f7. So that was my first game against the computer. I played this at the airport at about 11 at night while I was waiting for my 1:30 a.m. flight back to England. So now I finally felt confident to jump to level 12. So let's see how this game went. I played black. I was going back and forth, so just not to play white every time. So e4, c5, this is called the Sicilian defense. For beginners, it might seem strange to move this pawn rather than a central pawn because it doesn't open any diagonals for either of the bishops. And it's not a central pawn move, but it does control a central square. And the idea is after white plays d4, and if you take, then in the long term you'll actually have two central pawns versus one. So let's just see how the game goes. Knight f3. Now I play g6. This is another perhaps strange move to beginners. I'm opening up. This is called a fianchetto. It's an Italian word. You could also think of it as like a sniper bishop because you put it on the longest diagonal on the board. And it might make some sense if you see that the c pawn blocks one of the most natural squares for the bishop to go with. So by playing g6, you open the bishop to go the other way. So he plays d4. I take, and he takes with the queen, which is a common move, as you can see here. I'll turn the engine off. Yeah, this position's been reached 140,000 times. About 140,000 times if you add up all these other games. So the only reasonable move is to block with the knight. I mean, blocking with the f-pawn is possible, but blocking with the knight makes more sense. And again, this move makes a lot of sense. You want to push the knight out of the way. And yeah, retreating the knight is possible, but then you're just losing time, and white can do something like this. And then you have to block again. He can take. And now you can't castle. This is probably okay for black. As you can see, black doesn't score that badly. But that's not how I wanted to play. Oops. So instead of moving the knight back, I bring the other knight out. And I can do that because if he takes my knight, I take his queen. So he has to move. And then, yeah, you can see by the stats, the most common move is queen to a4. Queen c4, I don't think I've ever seen before. And I play d5. Again, taking advantage of the fact he can't take the knight because I'm attacking his queen. He takes. I actually thought for a minute here about which way to take. And I decided to take with the queen. And here, oh wow, actually my move scores quite well. Only 12 people have played it. But black has won almost all the time and drawn 17% in games. So I just figured I have an extra central pawn. And yeah, I just felt like it might be good to get the queens off. I was also considering this move, bishop to e6, hitting the queen. But I liked the idea of trading queens. If he takes, my knight is going to take, hitting his bishop. So he doesn't take, he blocks with the knight. Now I hit his queen. And now he trades. And here he castles, which surprised me. I was expecting maybe this check. But instead he castles. And I'm happy to just take the bishop off. So now I have, after he takes back, I have the two bishop advantage. You can see this position's been reached once and white managed to win. Yeah, I have the two bishop advantage. I have an extra central pawn. Well, I don't have extra central pawn. We both have one central pawn. Oops. One central pawn. But mine is not isolated and his is. So isolated pawn is one that can't be defended by other pawns. So, okay, he takes. I bring my bishop out. Okay, it's blocked by the knight, but it'll be out soon enough. Oh, my poor baby is having a difficult night upstairs. He attacks my bishop. I come back. I want to keep my bishop here. Well, let's see where we deviated. Okay, here's where we deviated from the one time this has been played. So, a unique position, never been reached before. He attacks my bishop. I go back. He brings his rook to the center. Now if I castle, I lose a pawn. So I play e6. He's now threatening this fork and this check, stopping me from castling. So I castle now. He attacks the b pawn, but that's no problem. I defend it. He attacks my knight. That's also no problem. I attack his knight. And oh yeah, so hang on, I gotta pause this. I can't pause with my computer. yeah, so after I push him back, he could have gone here, which would have avoided the game continuation. But even here, I think I'm doing pretty well because I can attack this. But let me show you what I mean by showing you the game. So I attack the knight, but this is really a double attack of sorts because once the knight moves, this pawn falls. So he goes back, and now I'm up a pawn here. He attacks my bishop. I drop the rook back, which, yeah, I missed this move, but it's not that big of a deal. And actually, I get my rook on the 7th rank, which is a great square because it's where all the pawns are. I do lose the bishop pair, and now I'm the one with the isolated pawn. But keeping in mind, I'm still a pawn up here. Or I'm now a pawn up. So he tries to get my rook off the 7th, and I oblige. And I bring my knight in. I'm now attacking this bishop and this pawn. He comes back, blunting my bishop from attacking the pawn. And I kick him away. And I'm gaining space. This looks a little risky if there's a light squared bishop or queens on the board. It might be a little risky, but in the endgame, it's fine to open your king, and you even want to get your king out as quick as possible. He attacks my knight, kicks it back. Now he attacks my weak pawn, but I just ignore it. Why did I just ignore it? Oh, because, yeah, if I defend like this, then now I'm losing this pawn. So, and with that pawn gone, now this this a pawn has a straight shot to queen. So I thought, okay, if I'm going to lose this pawn, let me break open the center. Also, my move e4 unleashes an attack here. I'm curious what the engine says. So the engine says it's basically oh yeah, the engine says I should just defend and lose the or actually even better would be oh yeah, this makes sense. And after here it says it's about equal. So my move is a little bit worse. It says white has a small advantage. After he takes, I take here. And he moves the knight, threatening this pawn. I'm not attacking the bishop here. Come in. I just put that because of the winds. She wants to say goodnight to me?
Yeah.
Right here. I'm making a YouTube video so you can be on camera.
Wait, I'm wearing my underwear.
Oh, you're not on the camera, babe.
Oh God, you're filming?
Look, Soph, it's you. See? It's you, aren't you cute? Good night, Soph. You want to give Daddy a kiss?
Hug and kiss you.
Oh, I love that. Hug and kiss me.
You want to kiss Daddy's cheek?
Kiss me again. I love you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, that's all right. I didn't say anything.
Wait, you're just filming your face?
No, I'm not filming my face. I'm filming the board. Oh, no. What's happened?
I'm in my panties. Don't turn the computer.
Oh, don't worry. You're not on TV. Oh, yeah. I'll teach you when you're bigger. So if I'm making this for my nephew, Jonah. Say hi, Jonah. I mean, maybe like 3 other people will watch.
Okay. Come on in, Soph.
All right, Soph, give me a kiss. Go on with Mommy. I do love you. I'll see you in the morning. Chloe's asleep already?
Yeah.
I don't know how to pause this, but my, 3 viewers won't mind, probably. All right. They can just skip ahead. Whoops.
Oh, you want me to carry you up?
Aw. All right, so you can see White's played pretty well up to this point. Actually, I'm curious. I feel like I had to be somewhat ahead at some point. Yeah, where did I go astray? I'm just looking at the eval in case anyone wonders why I'm playing these moves again. Takes here. Yeah, so I had to go all the way back, and then I'm just a straight pawn up for nothing. Even here, I still have a pretty big advantage. Still have a pretty big advantage. Oh yeah, so e5 was a rather bad move, which in retrospect it kind of makes sense, because why am I blocking my own bishop? I should just kind of keep playing actively, even at the cost of a pawn. Well, it's not really a pawn, because I'm getting this pawn. Yeah, and I'm getting to the 7th rank. And actually, this is quite bad. If the knight moves, this square is weak. And if he has to play like this, it's quite passive. So, yeah, you can see black's doing exceptional there. So e5 was a mistake. So, okay, here's where we were. I decided to try to be aggressive, open up the bishop, let him take this pawn. I take here. But now white's playing well, hitting this pawn. And I started to think, oh, I'm probably going to lose this. I thought, well, I can't defend this. I better counterattack the bishop, have my rook in an active spot. He takes my knight, I take his bishop, and he moves his king in to attack my rook, which is a good move. Actually, and what did I do here? I moved to the rook. Maybe better was this move, because if he takes, then I make a queen. So yeah, why exactly didn't I take? If he takes with a knight, that's fine. I can just come back here. That's a strong square. And okay, he takes here, but after I hit him and he moves somewhere, I can take here. And he can't take this because, oh, he can take that because it's check. So yeah, all of a sudden this doesn't look so good. But still, why did I not take? I bet taking is good. Let's see what the engine says. Oh no, the engine says my move is better. Oh right, yeah, he can just play here. He doesn't even have to take right away. Oh yeah, this is bad. Now white is winning. Wow, the engine is just so quick calculating it. Just in case you're wondering, I can't take here because of the fork. And yeah, I'm just a piece down. So, okay, let's go a little quicker. King takes. I kicked the knight out. The knight attacks my bishop. I check. Check again. I'm trying to drive the king back, as you can see. And I finally take this piece. Pawn, rather. He takes my pawn. So you can see material is even. I have a rook and a minor piece. He has a rook and a minor piece. We both have 3 pawns. Go to attack his pawn. He attacks me. He attacks the f-pawn. And I give him the f-pawn. My hope is to get this a-pawn into a queen. Check. Oh yeah, he can't come here because the knight falls, so he has to stay protecting the knight. And I start rolling my pawn. Again, my goal is to get here and get a queen. Again, let's check what the engine says. The engine says it's equal. Minus 0.2 is basically equal. Should be a draw, which is best play, which is about what I thought. And I moved back in here. I was ready to accept a draw. The computer played this again. And I thought it'll probably play it a 3rd time. And if there's a 3-fold repetition, that means the game's a draw. But instead, he played on bravely, attacking my bishop, and I pushed the pawn again. He took, I took. He checked me. Here I was surprised that this wasn't played, because this does fork both pawns. But actually this is a losing move, because it doesn't matter how many pawns, it matters which one queens. And yeah, if he takes, it's just game over after push. He can get behind if he wants, but this is a good important move to remember. check first, and now queen. So he does not play rook d4, which loses. He plays check, rook d6, king e5, rook a6 gets behind the pawn. Again, it's still a draw. I come back to defend. He brings his king up, and now I decide to bring my king across. I want to bring my king up here to support the pawn's promotion. Maybe this would have been better because it's a little bit faster, although the engine still says this is a draw. Oh, I see. My idea was not to go up and support the pawn. My idea was to attack the rook. Still equal. 0-0 means equal. Should be a draw. And again, I thought this was going to be a draw. I thought he was going to repeat position because he's going to attack my rook. I'm going to defend. He's going to attack. I have to go back to defend my rook, otherwise he'll take for free. And I thought the game was going to go like this. But instead, he comes back here. But this is... The engine says it's still a draw, but this was a little confusing. I thought he can't afford to take this one, even though if he's got 2-on-1, because I'm queening first. So why did I come back to b7? I came back to b7 because I don't want his rooks to come here behind my pawn, which will stop it from becoming a queen. He checks me again, and again, it should be a draw because I can move up, he can attack. Oops. Oh, not there. But he can just check me forever. But let's see what happens in the game. Okay, so he checks, I come up. I come up this way, he checks again, and I come up. Now, checking again with the rook is kind of a trap. Actually, you can see over here that the only drawing move is to take this pawn. Although now it's pretty tricky. He has to get behind, and I can defend, and that opens a check. But I think the thing is that no matter what, he's going to be able to sack his rook. And in this position, white is fast enough. Even though he's a rook down, black can't win. But in the game, well, I don't want to spoil the game. Let me just show you what happens. So here, I brought my king up, and he actually takes with the rook, and this is losing. So I take back, and the difference is his king is now cut off. What do you mean? I'll show you what I mean. So he comes back, push the pawn. I push again, and I'm about to queen. If he doesn't take now, I'm going to get a full queen. For example, say he pushes the pawn. I can now put the rook in the way, and he can't come back up here to defend, so I'm just getting a queen for nothing. So anyway, he has to take it. I take with my king, and same thing, right? Looks like white should be able to draw because one of these pawns should be able to be a queen, but not really. The rook is nicely placed. It blocks the king. These pawns aren't going to promote by themselves, and the king is in the way of one of them. So let's see how it goes. Probably white defended as well as he could at this point. He starts pushing one pawn. Makes sense. I bring my king up. He brings his king out of the way, so that way both pawns can run. Because, yeah, one pawn by itself is not getting anywhere. You can try to come defend with the king, but there's not enough time. So anyway, so he moves his king out of the way. I move my king in the way. So actually, it's true, his king could come down to try to support, but my king is getting across pretty quick. Pushes the h pawn, pushes the g pawn. But now I can attack both pawns at once. One step away from becoming a queen, but I can just nip that in the bud. And so this is pretty much game over. I'll show the end of the game. I actually didn't do this very smoothly. Yeah, pretty messy. And there's checkmate. So I finally beat the computer at level 12. Let's see if I could do it again. Now I'm white, a little bit confident, very exhausted at the airport. I didn't sleep for about, I don't know, 36, 38 hours traveling from New York to England. But when I finally did, I got 10 hours of sleep, which I don't think I've gotten that much sleep in like over a decade. So that was pretty nice last night. So okay, this is already a very strange move. I thought this computer had like book moves. So I'm like, this is just terrible. I took. So this is kind of like this kind of reminds me of what's called the Petrov's defense, except with the bishop out instead of the knight here, which is obviously worse because now I'm going to get d4 with tempo hitting the bishop. So I thought, oh, this will be an even easier win. And this also, I thought this was a strange move. So maybe c4. It's not really my style. Probably I should have just kept developing. But with this bishop here and this knight potentially coming up here. Yeah, when they opens the door, now it's all the wind is getting. Anyway, this is still very good. As you can see, this has almost never been played by any humans because it's so bad. At least no one above 2200. I'm sure if you add lower rated games, this has been played more times. Oh yeah, so this has been played loads, but we're not so interested in the lower rated games. He brings his knight out, I bring my knight out. Castles, h3, just so he can't change his mind and pin my, hang on, I gotta take care of that door. Sorry for the delay. Anyways, let's see what happens here. So he moves his bishop yet again, pinning my knight. So yeah, probably he's giving me all this space. The engine is saying just take it. But you can see, yeah, his bishop is really badly placed. I should have seen this. If it comes here, it kind of stops one of the knight's best squares. If it goes all the way back, it's undeveloping. So, but instead, I brought my last minor piece out. He takes, I take. He takes my knight, I take back. So he has something now. My pawns are really bad, double isolated pawns. He brings his knight to the rim. Usually not so good, but he does have a good square here. And here I take his bishop. This bishop looks kind of dumb. It doesn't have very many squares to go to. So why did I take it? I am getting the bishop pair, but on the other hand, my knight is very strong here. So probably I should just keep this. But I took it. Castle. He attacks my bishop. I come back. I'm going to put the engine off. And you can see I've kind of already lost the thread here. He's got his pieces lined up on these weak pawns. It's two knights versus two bishops, but the position's kind of closed. And here, I'm going to go through this game kind of quick because it's not my best game. I'll put the engine back on. But I'm just kind of shuffling. And I don't have a clear plan here. I'm shuffling, I'm shuffling. Why is this move so good? Am I not losing this piece? Of course I'm not losing this piece. Big problems here. So, I should have seen this tactic. This is not what happened in the game. I'm just looking at some variations. And if a6, now I can take. Oh yeah, and I'm winning another pawn. Yeah, that would be really good for me. So, yeah, so instead I played this passive move. And I just don't have a plan. You can see I'm just shuffling. And all of a sudden I'm losing the, I got forked here. And actually resigned here. But because the position's so closed, probably I should play on. Especially in light of what happens in other games. So the computer actually says that this is still about equal, even though I'm done in exchange, bishop for rook. Because the bishops are good, I got rid of my backwards pawn. I'm still basically okay. But I was pretty tired. I was about to get on the plane. And I didn't like the way I was playing. But after I landed on the train to on the train from London to Haverhill, or London to Cambridge, I decided to play 2 more games. So let's see how this one went. This one, white opened with knight f3, which is fine. d5, knight c3. I think this is called the 2 knights tango. I played c5. Pushing is probably like objectively the best move, but I don't know that variation very well. So yeah, you can see on the side here, that this has all been played before. I decided to fianchetto as I did in the other game as black. He takes. A little early to take. The idea is that this knight doesn't have a lot of good squares. If I kick him again, he can only come here or here. And maybe I could push all the way again and mess up his kingside pawns. So I thought h4 would be played, and it was played. I check, he brings the bishop back, and now I come here. So if he doesn't want to make an awkward move, he has to push the b pawn. I mean, he could come back and defend, but then it's like I got this move for free, because he moved his bishop there and then moved his bishop back again. But he does play b3. Now I play a5. Maybe I want to play a4 and undermine his pawns. Get my this is a way to get your rook developed. If you push the a or h pawn all the way up and trade, then you kind of get your excuse me, you get your rook developed for free, so to speak. But he nips that one in the bud. I pin his knight. The nice thing about inducing him pushing the h pawn is now there's no way for him to break this pin, so this pin is a long-term issue. He moves his bishop again. I bring my knight out, the castle, and knight d7. This looks strange, right? I'm moving it, developed it, and moving it back, but the idea is I want to put my knight here, putting more pressure on his knight. He brings his rook to the center, maybe threatening to push this pawn, but before he does, I put my knight there. He takes it, and this bishop is indefensible because the knight can't move, because it's pinned to the queen. Oh, I moved my knight back because I noticed that this pawn is a goner, because the knight is pinned, so there's no way he can defend that pawn. He attacks me, but I go ahead and grab the h-pawn. I thought he was going to push again, threatening to take, and then my king would be very vulnerable. But he does not do this. And now I push the e-pawn. Now he could throw on this check, and I would probably take with the bishop. Instead he throws in this check. Maybe I wouldn't take with the bishop, I'm not sure. And this looks a little odd, maybe dangerous, putting my king over here, but I'm basically in a castle by hand, so to speak. Put my king here and then bring my rook here or here. So let's see how it goes. Queen d2, he does break the pin, so the knight is no longer pinned. I decide to take it, maybe not the best move. Let's see what the engine thinks. The engine thinks it's the best move. But the engine still thinks white is a little bit better, even though I'm a pawn up. I take it. And this move I did miss. So he's threatening mate, and he's threatening this bishop and this bishop. So he's actually not going to get doubled pawns after all. And here I missed something. You see the eval jumps up in white's favor. The Stockfish engine recommends defending this way. Now, why is my move bad? Well, let's see. Here. Oh, it's bad because of this knight fork. Yeah, it's bad because of what happened in the game. And yeah, this happened, and I thought, maybe I just can't beat... well, I did beat level 12 once, but maybe I just can't beat it usually. It's going to find a way to knight fork me, and I'm going to mess things up, even in a bad opening. But this time I decided to play on. So I defended the rook. He attacks the rook. I take back. And this looks very awkward, right? How am I ever going to get castled? So, yeah, he moves his rook over. I'm not sure what the idea is. The nice thing is that it's closed. Almost all the pawns are on the board, except I still have an extra pawn. And there's not really a good way. He can't go here. He can't go here. There's not a good way for him to add pressure. His queen is attacking me, but the queen by herself can't do too much. I decided to trade queens, which the engine hates. But I thought, how else am I going to get my king out? I mean, I guess I could do something like... Oh, no, I can't do that, because that's mate one. Yeah, I just didn't see how... Let's look at some engine lines. Oh, I see. But this loses a pawn. This is still better than what I played. I guess the idea is I get activity, and I get this line against his king. Anyways, I went to trade queens, and he avoids the trade. C3 is the best move. C3 is not an intuitive move. Well, actually, it makes a lot of sense because it's opening the rook, and the rook needs to be open, even if the cost of a pawn... Oh yeah, but this would just be bad. And now, all of a sudden, I'm losing the bishop, because if I move it... Whoops-a-daisy. So, okay, c3 or c4 would have been good. But now I'm back in the game. I get my king to safety. And he's just shuffling. Yeah, this what's it called? AI Factory is not that good positionally. It doesn't realize that it should be playing on the c file and opening things up for its rook. Now it finally does push the c pawn. But now I'm getting my own rook active. Now it's equal. Threat is this. And now I'm losing again. I was just a little timid. Yeah, this move makes a lot of sense. He does trade queens. And now I should be losing. B4 makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and it's going to be really, really hard to stop this pawn. You can see actually my bishop is really bad. All my pieces are really bad. I mean, how do I even... I'd have to play like rook here, rook here, rook here, rook here. By that time, he's just queening. So this is just dunzos. So yeah, I'm totally busted. But instead, after G4, G5, he just takes the pawn with his rook, which also makes sense. It's just that this move is faster because the pawn is just running right away. But taking is more intuitive, so to speak, because it's just eliminating this pawn and keeping this one. Although you can see this one is... Yeah, so this is actually maybe some very instructive. So yeah, after g5, this is the move. This is just the quickest way to win. I don't know if I would have seen that in my own game. But AI Factory takes. And I just decide to push. I want to get these pawns up the board. Maybe come here. And then check and then win this pawn. I'm not thinking about winning at this point. I'm thinking about trying to draw. And when you're thinking about drawing, getting all the pawns off is a good idea usually. Although, I don't know. My idea is not that good. But let's see how it plays out. I take. And I sacrifice the pawn. And I take this pawn. So now his king is all the way over here. This pawn isn't going anywhere. These pawns are still really strong. Oops. But at least I'm thinking maybe I could get my rook behind and keep this guy from queening one way or another. Also, I'm tying this rook up. Maybe I could take here. And he just decides to run with it. I thought maybe he was going to do something like this. But this makes him kind of passive. If he has to defend like this, I think I'm okay. Although here, his position's so good, he can even get away with losing this pawn. Because now how am I getting back to defend? And probably the A pawn could just run all the way up the board. But anyway, he decides to push this one. And again, I make a mistake. The Stockfish engine says, just get behind right away. But this is still also losing. I just think, well, I got to get my own threat. I got to, like, try to do something. And it looks like I'm making progress. I'm only 2 squares away from queening. The problem is that white controls the queening square with 2 pieces. So he pushes the A pawn, but now the A pawn is kind of all by himself. And I finally grab this square. In the endgame, usually you want to be behind the pawn with your rook. Because if you're in front of the pawn, imagine I'm here. Once the pawn moves, the rook is basically stuck. But from behind, I have more flexibility. So I bring my king up. And actually, he could actually just take. Oh, if he takes, yeah, if he takes there, I'm going to obviously not take his rook. I have to take this. But he decides to keep everything defended. Threatening here. This would have been better. Either here or here. And he can take. But I suppose next he's coming here and protecting. But he checks me. This bishop is nice because it's protecting this pawn. He defends against the check. King f4 would have been better, but we can't look at all the moves. He's still winning. Still winning. But now maybe it's equal. Oh yeah, rook d8 makes a lot of sense. And yeah, what am I really doing here? Yeah, rook d8. And I'm just losing because he's queening next and there's nothing I could do about it. So yeah, I'm surprised that AI Factory did not see this move, because now that I think about it, it's pretty intuitive. Yeah, instead he comes here, and what is this about? Again, I'm losing. Ah, now it's equal again. It's just a little dance. I can't afford not to have my rook here. And I could make other moves with my king. But now he's winning. So anyway, instead he plays, yeah, so this is, after e2, king here makes no sense at all. And then, yeah, these two moves both are horrific. What does that have to do with anything? I mean, yeah, bringing your king up here just makes it so I'm getting this with check. And now, yeah, there's nothing else to do. I mean, he could check me, but yeah, really any move. King e3 the engine likes. Yeah, this is just game over. I'm queening next. And then b5, I don't get it. I just decide to block. I blocked again. And yeah, I think the computer resigns here, but I played it out till mate. I'll just play through this rather quickly. Yeah. And that's mate. All right, I'm going to show one more game. Yeah, when I lost that one, I said I want to win a few in a row. So okay, this time this is called the Caro-Kann defense. Similar to the French, black tries to control the center more slowly. This is called the two knights attack against the Caro-Kann. This move looks strange blocking the bishop, but the idea is black usually wants to get this set up, but then that leads to mate right away. And you can see this has happened almost 1,300 times. And these are like plus 2,200 players. If it was all players, probably happened like 8,000 times, and then it's game over. And that's not the only reason. If white takes, you're going to get this bishop out here, and you get a big lead in development. So I played this wrong. I should probably take, because he can't take this way. It forces the recapture this way, and I've screwed up his pawns. But instead I kick the bishop, and it goes like this. I'm going to go through this one a little more quickly. I'll just kind of, these are all pretty normal moves. Just going to get to the meat of it. So this is definitely a weak computer move. Most humans and no strong computer would play a move like this because it doesn't really do anything. He has to go back. So far this is probably pretty equal. Yeah, engine says it's about equal. Bring my bishop back because there's pawns here. There's some hope here. He's threatening mate. Have to deal with that. So yeah, probably still pretty equal. White has a slight advantage because of the bishop pair and more space on the queen side. I decided to take this off. That way I have at least a concrete advantage. He has double pawns here, and I don't have double pawns. So theoretically it's easier for me to make a pass pawn. And yeah, now these light squared holes don't matter at all. In fact, they're good. I can move my king out quicker. Yeah, this is not intuitive to take, but the Stockfish engine says it's the best move. Oh, I guess it's pretty clear because I got the 7th rank. So I should have considered taking. But this is also fine. He makes a hole on f6, which engine says doesn't matter, but I just had to snatch that up. Yeah, so his king is... It kind of makes it really hard for his king to come out, whereas mine can come out easily. So I have a slight advantage. Even after the rook trade, I have a slight advantage. C5 was a little bit odd because I allowed this. Again, I'm going to play through this one pretty quick. F3 was not good. D6 with the idea of here, I suppose. Now it's thinking F3 is not that bad. Ah, no, it's a draw. So I should have taken. Yeah, even though he has an extra pawn, look, these two nicely holds these three. So I was too kind of fixated on mental concepts, like, oh, doubled pawns are bad, I want to let him take. But why are doubled pawns bad? Doubled pawns are bad often because it makes it hard for the opponent to get a queen. But actually, no matter what, the double pawns are going away. So by doing this and allowing him to take, the doubled pawns are gone anyway, but now he has a passed pawn. Whereas if I take, oops, instead of what I played in the game, if I take, yeah, the doubled pawns are gone, but he doesn't have a passed pawn. And these two guys are stopping him from ever pushing here. And these two guys are stopping his king from coming around like this to try to eat up my guys and get a pawn that way. So, yeah, I'm explaining this. Yeah, see, this is good for me to explain. Yeah, the computer, if you try to follow all the computer's lines, sometimes it can be overwhelming. But if you break it down, this is actually very, very simple and understandable why taking here is the best move. But instead I pushed. He takes me, and now I constantly have to babysit this passed pawn. And in fact, it could get bad quickly. Like, he could easily just push. I have to take, and then I'm a piece down. Now, I can get enough of my own counterplay against these pawns to make it equal, but not to win anymore. So I just blew the win here. With yeah, this is the move. Bang, king takes. And this is a fortress. This is like an impenetrable fortress. 2 stopping 3, and meanwhile, his 2 are not stopping my 3. Plus my king is over here. So this is just game over for him. But that's not how it went down. C5. He takes, I take. He brings his king up. 0-0. 0-0 means draw with perfect play. Still a draw. Except king back here was not the move. King e6. Staying more centralized. I'm not going to go over every single move in great depth. B5. King back attacking his bishop. I'm not playing the very best moves, but I'm still probably winning now. On here I thought for a while c6 evidently offers winning chances. Oh, big winning chances. It keeps going up and up. But the move I played is a draw. So let's look at c6. What's the idea? Because to me it looks like, how am I getting at this pawn? How am I getting this king out of the way? This move makes as much sense as anything. Defending. Yeah, how am I making progress here? Back to f5. That doesn't seem like I'm making progress. I'm going to just play through these quickly. Ah, okay. So similar to the game. I guess white was just setting himself up perfectly. And now, yeah, I'm coming over, eating this pawn, and there's too many threats. And the nice thing is the king can't come in here to attack this again. Well, actually it can. And yeah, this is a light square, so it's easy to see that white's winning now. Okay. So instead I played this, which now it's a draw again. But I decide to sacrifice my bishop. And I know that there's no way that black can win this now, because I'm going to be able to win this pawn. I think. Because, yeah, the pawn's going to have to sacrifice itself here. But somehow this is still a draw. Still a draw. Oh yeah, and this move is just bad. There's no reason to try to defend here, because it's not real defense, because you're going to have to sacrifice here anyway. Better to... Okay, king a5 makes no sense. Let's just play a more intuitive move. And let's see how black draws. Okay, I don't like this move. Let's go up. But it doesn't matter. The king is... Okay, I don't like this move. Let's push. Yeah, it doesn't matter. The point is the bishop's controlling all these squares. And if my king tries to come around to defend from here... Oh wow, king f5 is the only winning move. Yeah, that makes sense, because if I come here, I'm getting a free check. So here king f5 draws. Push, and he gets behind this one. Push, he takes this one, and takes this one. So, let's go back to the game. But instead, he comes back to defend the pawn. But now I run the other guy. He comes back to defend the square. So it looks similar to the other one, but as you notice, in the endgame, king position makes all the difference. Just like in that rook versus two pawns one, like one or two tempo makes all the difference. His king is nowhere near coming all the way back now. So I can just slide up. And then, yeah, this move just makes matters worse because I'm going bang, 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 hitting the bishop again with tempo. Although at this point, no matter what he does, it's too late. Let's say he tries to come up with the king. Yeah, the problem is, in some positions, say the king was like here, I wouldn't be able to win, I don't think. Because after I push, he can get next to it and take it. But now my king's muscling out the other king, so I'm just running this guy. So yeah, this is just game over. And yeah, he's just making silly king moves because there's nothing to do anyway. And yeah, I just played this one out. Decided to play without getting another queen. Oh yeah, this is nice. I don't even bother trying to win the bishop because king and queen are on light squares and the bishop doesn't matter at all. Now, you don't want to do this type of position without an enemy piece because you can see the king, oops, the king has no move, so it would be stalemate, but because the bishops exist, there's no stalemate. And that's mate. So that's how you beat AI Factory. Not very smoothly at level 12, so I don't think that its ELO ratings it gives itself are accurate. This engine did not play it like 2150 strength. Probably closer to like 1800 strength. Maybe 1750 or something. But still fun enough to give me a challenge, and it did beat me once. Actually beat me twice at level 12. Because the first game I played in front of Jonah, I was humiliated by the evil robot. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and I will see you next time.